you think it's possible, especially with such a loose collective that is essentially held together by the internet site and email communications, etc., to have an Algonquin roundtable, a vicious circle of writers currently that communicate?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like I already sort of have that because most of my writer friends don't live in my town, and so we have long discussions and arguments and things over email about all different kinds of things, and a lot of them are kind of group emails. And I think that the McSweeney's website is really fantastic because it has so much archived material. I mean, they put up, like I just read the other day something that I hadn't seen before, which was this discussion of William Vollmann, the editing of William Vollmann's 4,000-page book, which was the first book that Eli edited. It was a 4,000-page book. I mean, crazy. So
that sounds like something out of Wonder Boys.
It was, yeah. It was, yeah. But
and so there's this
no
long...
one they can cut it down. Yeah,
and so it's really interesting because there's this long discussion where all the different people who were involved in the project contributed to this. And so it's still up there, and you just dig around on the McSweeney's website, you can find that, and it's cool, really cool.
I'll tell you about that community. It's different than that round table, for example, where it's not like there's a table that you're at or you're not. It's much more kind of sprawling and amorphous, so it's not like there's these stable of 8 writers who are in this McSweeney's collective or something.
I definitely have the best of both worlds. The best of 3 worlds, because I've got McSweeney's too.
But a lot of your closest friends are writers, right?
Yeah, but we don't sit around in couches and talk about craft. I mean, that does not happen. We mostly talk on the phone. I mean, I actually live kind of reclusively even when I'm in New York. So it's like I fly to New York, I get up, I work in the morning, I book an afternoon flight. Then I drive to the airport, I work on the plane, and then I arrive in New York and I go to the NYU library. And I mean, it's ridiculous, and that's pretty much what I do for 5 days that I'm there, and then I do the same thing backwards.
You don't follow around the strangers in there, do you?
Wow, you really did read the book. I'm so impressed.
I can ask one of those atypical questions that writers always get asked, which is, does the story write itself? Or was there a which is very interesting for this book, was there a direction where you said it's going to go in this direction with these people and it's going to end up at this place? Or do you just start writing it and sort of like they're moving along almost aimlessly, you find the end result by, getting there on its own?
I never understand these writers that say, the characters just took over, it was just out of my control. I just did what the characters... I mean, for me, it's a battle. Every day is a battle. And I was so lucky when Eli stepped in and started helping me edit, because anything that was rudderless, Eli pointed out to me and said, you got to do something about this, or he just, told me what to do with it.
But when you were starting it, did you know, where Myers would end up at the end?
Yeah, actually the first part that I wrote of the book was the last chapter. So I knew all along that what I wanted to happen at the end, and then it was just how to get him to that point. But in the beginning he was a woman, and he wasn't. The story was completely different. All I had was that end point, and then everything I had to create the whole story around it.
Maybe something about the sort of one type of 21st century life is something to do with a certain. But this is life, probably in every century, is like a certain sense of emptiness and a sense of seeking and of looking for something, kind of. Looking for some sort of escape from your life, and that's just people. So yeah, I don't think there's anything about global warming or something particularly in there, right?
But everything is so interconnected that you can pretty much go to any part of the world, and get a cell phone to work or get the internet to work or have certain expectations.
Yeah, I guess it does have to do with that in the sense of like he's sort of escaping, and the character Myers can never really escape from himself, and in a way that's mirrored by the way he keeps going farther and farther out, but he's sort of checking his email and running into Americans and having the same sorts of problems, having the same broken arm and stuff, so he's not really escaping anything.
I guess you'd call them almost like diary entries by certain characters. They read more like something that was written down on a piece of paper and mailed than something that somebody sends to one or another. Even to the point where the husband and wife are fighting so badly and seemingly, like I said, through letters on paper, and yet she's still saying your loving wife.
I wanted them to adopt this very formal tone with each other while things were sort of crumbling, and while Myers was getting further and further away from a point where he would be able to go back and kind of resume life as usual. So in order to create that really formal tone, what I did was I went to the library and I got out these books by Andre Breton, the Dada and Surrealist writer, and I took a lot of phrases out of there and tried to kind of play with them to create strange but formal statements, and that's how those came to pass. And then it just had to be things like, you'd have this kind of strange formal statement about like what marriage means or whatever, and then it just is kind of, to me, it was just sort of icing on the cake to have it signed with, your loving wife. To me, that was kind of funny, So it was like the idea being that as he was getting kind of further away from his experience, that things took on a more almost like surrealist sort of Dada feel to them. That was my intention. Although when Eli got at the book, he was a big help in like making it a little more directed.